So welcome to 100% Real with Ruby. Finally, like 8 months after getting excited at the fact that I booked in a podcast with Jordan Syatt, he is finally on. And I kind of got introduced to you in a different way than what I've heard most people speak of. And I was very heavy into competitive powerlifting. And I found you through your YouTube videos explaining the reverse crunch in particular. Holy shit, he has so much knowledge and he simplifies it into the most understandable ways for just anyone to understand. And then I realized that the way that you disseminate your information is how I learn it, which is if you can't break it down so that it's pretty much toddler speak, then the normal person isn't going to understand it. Yet there are too many people harping on about don't use the word toned, don't use muscle, blah, blah, blah. But that's how someone who isn't in the industry explains the issues that they're having. So with that, here's Jordan. He's a lover of coffee, cereal, a glass of wine, deadlifts, a big ass salad. And as you can see from in all of that, there is balance in what he loves. So I guess I'll start by asking, what made you passionate in doing just that? And what are the struggles and mindsets that sing to you the most that you just want to like shake someone and be like, just this is what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, so I mean, thank you for the kind words. Thank you so much for having me on. I've been doing this for a long time. I got into fitness when I was 14 years old is when I got my first internship at a gym when I was 14. So I've been doing this for many, many years, and I fell in love with it a long time ago. And I've always been passionate about it. So I'm very lucky that I have a job that I'm very passionate about and I enjoy and I get to help people. And I mean, there's so many, but I think that the biggest sort of self-limiting belief that people have that I just want to shake out of them is that as soon as they make a mistake, which often in their eyes it's not even a real mistake, but in their eyes it is, as soon as they make a mistake, they failed. It's over. All their progress is ruined. So then they end up quitting and giving up. And to me, it makes no sense. Like people, who knows, maybe they go out to eat dinner on a Friday night with friends and family. They eat more than they should, and then they consider themselves a failure. So then they give up. Like Saturday's off, Sunday's off, and they're like, oh, I'll just diet starts on Monday, right? And for me, that's like, imagine if you're driving a car, you get a flat tire. So instead of fixing the tire, you just slash the other three. So that doesn't make any sense at all, but that's what I think most people do with their health and fitness. So that's what I really want to help people stop doing is stop giving up at the first sign of adversity and just keep going.
Do you feel like the way that time has kind of gone on, that we're becoming more and more skewed with our perception of time and how short-sighted we are? Like, we don't see anything past a certain frame. So we feel like everything that happens now is something that's permanent. And it's almost like when we're in a fat loss phase, we feel like everything we need to do now, everything we need to make as a trade-off now is something that we have to make forever.
Yeah, I think that just based on it's human nature and as part of human evolution, we've made things easier and faster, right? I mean, I remember growing up like with dial-up internet. It took a while to get on the internet. It was like like all the noises, and it took a long time to get on. And, I mean, going back from the very beginning of time, like imagine how long it took for someone to start a fire versus how long it takes someone to heat something up in the microwave. It's just so it's part of human nature and evolution to make things easier and easier and easier and take less time. And as that's happened, I think we expect things to take less time. So with weight loss or with strength gain and muscle gain or whatever it is, people expect things to go more quickly than they actually are going to take. And I don't think it helps that, you know, we're comparing ourselves to other people on social media and just seeing what we believe to be super fast. So for example, right now I'm doing a mini cut and I'm publicly sharing my weight loss. And one of the things that people have been saying is like it's just so nice to see the process because most people only show the starting picture and the ending picture, but they don't show what happens in between. And so many people, especially most of my followers and clients are women. so many people, women are telling me, I had no idea that men's weight fluctuated as well. I had no idea that men's weight fluctuates, like, because I just thought it was only women. I didn't know that it would take this long. I didn't understand that. And it's only been 6 weeks. It's been 6 weeks, and I'm like over 7 pounds down. And I think people seeing the day to day is very helpful for them to give a more realistic perspective of how fast or how slow it takes, or the rate of progress. So yeah, I think most people, because they only see the before and after, and they just expect things to go more quickly, they just expect it to go much faster than it really does.
See, I love the idea of showing what's possible through photos, but something that really grinds my gears is what's online and what you see on social media is never close to reality, because most of what you see on there, like, for example, when I used to see those photos, say 5 years ago, I used to be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get there. Because I also did bodybuilding. But now, because I've been through eating disorder, everything up to where I am now, and the comp prep and keeping myself, like, as soon as I got that lean, the whole perception of what a healthy body fat is and realistic it's so what, like, I was like dick skin lean, and I did not feel like I was lean because I wasn't on stage in a tan feeling shredded. Like, I still did not feel lean, but looking back on the photos, I'm like, holy shit, what was
Mm-hmm.
going through my head? And now when I see those photos, I don't think that I want to look like that. I think, wow, I am not willing to go through the sacrifice it takes to get there. Yet no one understands that until they've been through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exactly right. It's exactly right. And I think we all have these like beer goggles on, right? Like we look at ourselves. It's so funny, like the number of people who say things like, I hate how I look, I hate how I look, hate how I look. Then they get a picture taken of themselves, and then 10 years later they look at that picture and they're like, "Oh my God, I looked amazing. I can't believe I didn't like how I look." It's we really are overly harsh and overly critical of ourselves, and it's very easy to harshly judge yourself in a way that's not accurate. We don't look at ourselves in a way that is very clear all the time, which I think can hinder us in many ways.
Something that I've also recognized is, if I asked my clients this as well, it's, if you look back at a photo where you felt like you were like you looked your best, I bet you anything that you didn't feel that in the moment, but that just proves to you it's never about the body, because it never is about the body. It's about the mindset behind it, and what brings confidence, what brings happiness, what quote unquote brings motivation is the fact that you know that what you're doing is heading in the direction that is serving you and isn't taking you away. It's knowing that you have the competence which breeds confidence, because you're taking the action steps every single day, which is something that I love about the way that you focus, which I'll bring up later on as well. But the way that you mentioned that you start your day is, you set out like a to-do list, which is your goals, because you set out action steps. And that's the way I've always been. Like, I don't sleep without that, because otherwise I'm like, oh my God, everything I have to do tomorrow. But I guess also with your social media, because I went fully online back in like 2016, 2017. And the reason that I kept going, even when I wasn't big to start with, is because I never cared about that end result. I loved helping people. My high and my payment is also from people saying, hey, you help, like asking questions, wanting to know more, because it's like I'm helping people. That fills my soul. And knowing that I can change the perception of how women feel about their bodies and about food, and about, like, why the fuck do we take everything so seriously? Like, honestly, the biggest thing that made me want to cry is when you spoke about the fact that you want your daughter to do gap years because you want her to experience life. And it actually made me teary, because I wasted so much of my life, and my mum had me when she was 40, my dad was 47, and I wasted so much of our time together. Now that they're going through their senile years, too focused in my body, going through the motions, but never actually experiencing the emotions, the experience of life. Always like, I'm so old, I'm so old, and now it's my birthday next week, and I'm like, huh? And that's actually something I want you to talk about, because I don't feel like anyone realizes that. We're just so busy, rush, especially after COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember when I was 18, I felt old, right? Like 18, I feel like an adult. Then, at 25, I look back at 18, I was like, God, I was just a kid. But at 25, I was like, God, I'm an adult, I'm so old. And then it's like it's such an easy thing. Like every age. I mean, I remember being like when I first got to 10 years old, I was like double digits, I'm old now, right? It's like but then when you look back on every stage of your life, it's funny. My mom will always say things like look at someone who's 40. She's like, oh, you're just a kid. Oh, you're just a kid. It's someone who's 40 years old or someone who's 50 years old. And it's true, because once you get past that age, you can look back and be like, oh, I really was so young. And I think so many people are so focused on this age as a number, and like it's like a death sentence as you get older. One of the coolest things for me is every year gets better. Like every year is so much more fun. Like I'm learning more, new adventures, new things to look at, and every year actually gets better. And for me, some of my worst years were college. Like I hated college. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. Everyone kept saying college is the best years, college is the best years, college is the best years of life. I'm like, thank God that wasn't true. Because what, after 21, 22 years old, it's just all downhill from there. It's a horrible life. It's been wonderful to see that life gets better as it goes on. So I think so many people focus on the wrong things, and they look at every passing year with dread instead of excitement.
I feel like something that's allowed you to experience every life to be better, though, is the fact that you're so aware and you're not just focused on, I need to achieve this end outcome, which has allowed you to experience each year better. And because you went through, like, it was up to you. You said, hey, I don't want to, because you had the intermittent fasting, binging, this, that, the other with your wrestling. I binged your podcasts, but it's like you made a decision one day, hey, I don't want to be like this. And from the next day on, you faced your fears and you faced the discomfort. And the thing that most people run away from is as soon as they feel resistance, it's a bad thing. It's scary, uncomfortable. So they never go through it, instead of realizing, hey, resistance is actually the most normal thing there is. It just never seems that way on social media because no one's talking about it. It's easy to people on social media because they've been doing it for years, but you don't see that. So maybe you can talk about why the resistance is such an important factor to your growth, and also why it is so important to have a goal beyond just a number on the scale, just an end outcome.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of resistance, I think there's a lot of most people are scared to do something, right? And you have to look at the difference between like something that's like worthwhile doing and something that's not worthwhile doing. But fear of something, especially if you have a goal for it, like if you're fearful of it, the worst thing you can do is ignore it. And it is one of the most important things to understand. So for example, let's talk about the scale, right? So a lot of people have a terrible relationship with the scale. They get so worried about it. Whatever the scale says, it dictates their emotion. If the scale goes up, they get pissed. It ruins their day. If the scale goes down, it's a huge win. What a lot of people in the fitness industry will say about that fear of the scale is that you should avoid it. Don't step on it. Break the scale. Like smash the scale. The scale is worthless. They say the scale shouldn't dictate your emotions, but they can't step on the scale without having these massive mood swings based on what the scale tells them. If they'll say the scale is just like, a worthless piece of plastic. It's like, okay, so if the scale is a worthless piece of plastic, you should be able to step on it without affecting your emotions. If it doesn't mean anything, then you shouldn't have an emotional response to it. If you're fearful of something, the only way to overcome that fear is to face it. And this is just very, very basic psychology 101. If someone is scared of spiders and they need to get over this fear of spiders, there's something called exposure therapy, where maybe you're with a therapist and they say, hey, listen, so on day one, they just say, hey, we're in this building. In the building across the street, there's a spider, right? That's day one, week one. Then maybe on day one, week two, they say, okay, so in this building, somewhere in this building, maybe in the basement of the building, there's a spider. And then week three, okay, On this floor in a different room, there's a spider in a cage. And then week 4, okay, in the room next door, there's a spider in a cage. And then week 5, okay, in this room, there's a spider in a cage, but it's covered with this blanket so you can't see it. And then week 6, okay, in this room, there's a spider in the cage. You can see it, but it's fully in the cage. Like, it doesn't matter. Week 7, we're going to take the spider. We're going to put it in a different type of cage. So if you want, you could poke your finger through it and touch it, but it's still in the cage. Week 8, you're holding the spider, right? And obviously, it's a very crude example of progression. But the point is, if you're scared of spiders, the only way that you're going to overcome that fear is to progressively put yourself in a room or put yourself in touch with spiders. So whether it's the scale, whether it's chasing a certain goal in terms of health and fitness, whatever it is, if you're scared of something and you feel there's resistance, the only way you're going to achieve that goal and overcome that fear is to face it. And I think too often, especially nowadays, people say, oh, it makes you nervous or makes you uncomfortable? Leave, do something else. It's a terrible life strategy. I mean, imagine if every time you have a difficult situation with your spouse, you just ignore it. Like we need to have a difficult conversation. No, let's ignore it. No, when there's something difficult, something that causes you fear, you have to face it. If you have a really difficult situation with your spouse, you need to talk to your spouse about it. You need to have a real open conversation. It might be very uncomfortable, but you need to sit with that discomfort and be okay with it. And this goes in all aspects of life: fitness, business, weight loss, relationships, all of it. Just because something makes you nervous and uncomfortable doesn't mean you should ignore it and walk away. Usually the exact opposite. You need to lean into the fear, you need to lean into that resistance, and you need to be okay with being uncomfortable and just fucking face it. It's the only way you're going to get through it. So that's number one. And then from there, I mean, if you don't have a goal, you have nothing. If you don't have a goal that you're like, what are you chasing? What is all this for? It doesn't mean like your goal doesn't have to be a world record lifter or to be an Olympic champion, but you should have a clearly defined objective-based goal that you can strive to achieve. If right now you can squat 25 pounds, then your goal should be to get to 30 pounds. If you can squat 30 pounds, your goal should be to get to 40 pounds, right? If you can't do a push-up, you should make a goal to be able to do a push-up. Just one. You don't need to do 100. You don't need to be a world record holder, but just a goal to help you move forward to be better than who you are today.
The first thing I saw when I opened I call it the Inner Circle too, when I opened my Inner Circle Facebook group, is one of my girls flexing with her back. And she's like, holy shit, I had an epiphany today in the gym. My whole life I was chasing skinny. And for the first time ever, I've fallen back in love with training. And I just got a PR on the lat pull down. I'm like, holy shit, like you need to have these process-based goals in order to keep you going, because if all you're chasing is this end outcome, you're going to keep chasing end outcomes because it's never going to be enough. And I call it like you're going to become a peanut shell with no actual peanut in it. You're going to lose substance. You're going to forget your real why. And the why has to come from something deeper, which is a feeling. How do you want to feel? And how is this going to impact the rest of your life? How do you want to show up to your kids? How is this going to filter into all of the other aspects of your life, which is something that you speak really well on? Like fitness and the lifestyle has brought you so much outside of just fitness and your lifestyle. Like, how have you seen it leak into the lives of your clients as well as yourself?
So many ways. I think the number one is just the confidence that comes from it. I mean, the amount of confidence that you can gain from getting stronger is a great metaphor with squats. Is like when life gets you down, you just got to stand the fuck back up. Like that's what a squat is, right? You got a really heavy bar on your back. It's pushing you down and you have to overcome it and stand back up with that weight still on your back. I think a lot of people really do better in life in general with their outlook when they're bearing a load on their shoulders. They have a responsibility, whether it's their responsibility of taking care of their children, responsibility of taking care of themselves, responsibility to improve and to live a better life. I think it's difficult, it makes life challenging, but it gives life purpose. It gives you a reason to really do something. And we see this with, for example, a number of my clients have been drug addicts, like severe drug addicts. And the way they got over drug addiction was through getting in the gym. and through finding purpose outside of their drug abuse, realizing they were strong, realizing they could get stronger, realizing that what they do in the gym can massively impact their lives and the lives of those around them. I think a lot of people struggle with their purpose and with their identity because they don't know what they can do or what they're capable of. But the gym is like one of my favorite quotes from Henry Rollins, the Iron, like 200 pounds is always 200 pounds, always. And when you might think like one day day one you walk in the gym 200 pounds, like you're like, there's no way I'm ever gonna be able to lift that. And then 3 years later, you're repping it out, no problem. It's like, that's incredible. You're proving to yourself what dedication and patience and persistence and passion can do. And I think it's the most objective way to really see how strong you are and what mental resilience can do and accomplish. And that leaks over into every area of life.
Something that you mentioned there, which I feel leads into the self-sabotage and the, oh my God, I just fucked up my weekend, is the belief that you can and the belief that the end is possible. And I guess this ties into identity as well. Like, even you, when you left powerlifting, you had like an identity crisis. And I went through the same thing. Mine lasted a year of feeling lost, and it was the worst, like the worst feeling of my life. But I learned so much through that because I wasn't a powerlifter anymore. I was trying to detach from the weight on the bar because it wasn't serving me. And it's not like it serves me to bloody be squatting 100, 300 pounds or 150 kilos or whatever. It's like you have a functional strength. Beyond that, big fucking whoop. Like, seriously. But it takes a while to detach from that. And if we link that into fat loss and weight loss and all that kind of stuff, there are people that have an identity attached to, I'm a dieter, but then there's the person, which is probably the majority, I've always failed. I can never do this. I've always gained the weight back. I can never stick to this. Maybe you can touch on that and why you feel like that leaks into, I don't have motivation, I can't be consistent, I can't do this, and why people gravitate towards fads, to quick fixes, to all these other things as well.
Yeah, so much of what we do is based on our level of confidence and whether or not we're going to be able to do it, right? And there's a term for this. It's called self-efficacy, which basically like it's your belief in your ability to succeed. And if you look into the research around self-efficacy, it's the highest predictor of whether or not someone is going to succeed. And especially if you look at things like smoking cessation, alcohol cessation, weight loss, it is without question the greatest indicator or predictor of whether or not someone is going to achieve their goal. If someone has a high level of self-efficacy, they are infinitely more likely to actually achieve their goal versus if someone has a low level of self-efficacy. It makes sense, right? Because if I told you, if I said, hey, if you spend $10,000 right now on lottery tickets, you have a 99% chance of winning Mega Millions, the Mega Millions. You would do whatever it takes to scrounge up $10,000 to then buy those lottery tickets because you knew you would have a 99% chance of winning. You knew it would happen. But if I told you if you spend $100 on lottery tickets today, you would have like a 1% chance of winning the Mega Millions. You'd be like, whatever, it's not worth it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm probably not going to win, right? So in one hand, if you know you're more likely to succeed or to win, then you'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. On the other hand, if you don't think that you're going to win or succeed, it's just not worth it, even minimal effort. And we can see this with things like weight loss, for example. If someone doesn't actually believe they're going to succeed, then why would they go to the grocery store and take the time going through the aisles, looking at the nutrition facts? Why would they take the extra time to do all this stuff? Why would they count their calories? Why would they learn about health and fitness? Why would they take the time to go to the gym if they don't believe it's going to work anyway? It doesn't make sense. But if they do believe it's going to work, then they're going to spend more time learning. They're going to study. Because to them it's worth it because they know it's going to work. They just need to put in the time. And so if we look at this from a global perspective with health and fitness, one of the biggest issues people fall for is fads, these cleanses and detoxes and all this bullshit that we know doesn't work. But what they promise is guaranteed fast results. And they always blame, like, listen, it's not your fault. It was the diet's fault. They take away all of the personal responsibility and they put it on everything that you've been doing. Say, if you just do this, it will work. And that feeds into it because they're like, well, that's it. Like, it wasn't my fault. It was the things that I was doing. And then they fall for these fads because they're guaranteed quick results. And then it doesn't work, which then feeds into their idea that they're a failure and nothing is going to work for them, which reduces their self-efficacy. So what we need to do is work to improve people's self-efficacy, improve their confidence in their ability to succeed, and show them what they can actually do. But it's a difficult fight. It's a very difficult fight when we're combating all the bullshit nonsense we see in the fitness industry.
I love that. And something that I never know which way to sway to is, especially when people say it's not you that's not working, it's the diet's fault. I'm like, no, but it's not. The diet did what it was supposed to do. It wasn't the diet's fault. Like, the diet's not broken. Your mindset's what's broken. You're not broken. Your mindset is. You're getting fast results. So it's just like, I hate it when people say that because it's like, that's not the do freaking what. Your need for results now is the very reason why you're not seeing results now. And in particular, when people are shouting out calorie deficit, without realizing, yeah. But if you're mentally, I call it diet purgatory, if you're mentally been restricting your whole life, been trying to lose weight your whole life, and it's not working, maybe you need to stop making weight loss the goal for now. And this is why, going back to the scale, most girls that come to me, I want to ban the scale for like a year or 6 months. Like, it's almost like when you have that temptation food or the food that you can't control.
Yes.
You're on both sides as well. It's, if there is something that is your breaking point, it's not about just bring it into your environment. No, sometimes you need to get rid of it and then bring it in when you're in a better mindset, which is what I hate about that HAES society and all the other people that rebel. Is like, no. Handle having this food in your environment. Stop thinking that you need to have a little bit here and a little bit there because that's what's leading. Like, it's not working, so stop trying to do it.
Correct. Yeah.
It really annoys me because no one speaks about it, and then when you do, you get attacked. But no, it doesn't work for a reason. But that's what I do with the scale.
It's funny. It's like no one, if someone was struggling with alcohol, if someone is struggling with alcohol and alcoholism, no one would say, well, you should still be able to have the alcohol in your house and have it in moderation. It's like, no, you're struggling with alcohol. You get it the fuck out and you stop drinking it, period. Like, that's what we have to do. Now, obviously, if someone has severe alcoholism, they're like, you can't just completely go cold turkey because they could actually die. But like, if someone is starting to struggle with alcohol, you don't just say, well, you should be able to have it in moderation. You remove it. Same thing with often foods. Like, if someone, especially, I see this in the fitness industry all the time, especially people when they're struggling with disordered eating and body dysmorphia, they really struggle with things like peanut butter. People really struggle with, like, they'll just like, yeah, if I eat the whole jar. I'm like, well, then get the peanut butter out of your house. It's like, and they're like, well, what if I get those like little calorie packs, like the 100-calorie packs of peanut butter? Well, are you just going to eat all of the calorie packs in one go? Or are you going to have like 10 of them? Because then you just basically had the whole jar again. They're like, yeah, I would. Remove it. Take it out. And there's a significant amount of research that supports this. Remove it. Take some time away. And then bring it back once you have developed a little bit of a healthier relationship. It's not all or nothing. It's just, for now, let's remove it. And then we can try and bring it back later. But telling someone that they should just be able to have, if someone knows that they have Oreos in their house and they can't have one, like they're going to either have none or the entire thing, just take it out for a little bit until they learn to develop a healthy relationship with that food. But it takes some time.
And that's exactly my approach with the scale, but for a different reason. And people don't know how to feel in their bodies anymore. They don't understand what any experience they have means or how it feels to be strong, because it's almost like, mighty oracle, tell me my fortune for this morning. And then they step on the scale and it's like, this is my fortune. And they go about their day with that mindset. And regardless of whether it says a good result or a bad result, it's still attached to a number. It's still you letting something external of you dictate your Oraclean future, whatever. That's pretty much my view on it as well. And going back to the self-efficacy, when we have bright lines, as you call them, like trying to have specifics of what we do and what we don't do, people try to put them out there, or they don't at all, because they feel like they'll fail on it or they won't stick to it. They fail to show up for themselves, even though it's up to them to set realistic bright lines. Why do you feel like this is? And what would you say to the person who is struggling to even say a step goal of, let's just get you to 5,000 steps and drinking 2 liters of water?
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who sets such small bright lines, or even whatever bright lines they are, but fail to show up for more than a couple of days for them?
It's a really good question. And this is, I think, probably if not the most, one of the most important questions that coaches really need to discuss. Because if we look at the trans-theoretical model of behavior change, I'll start somewhere else. I think the hardest lesson for me to learn as a coach, the hardest lesson was to learn that I'm not going to be able to help everybody. By far, it was the worst thing, because all I want to do as a coach is help people. And earlier on in my career, I was like, I got to study. And it was true. Yes, I had to study. But the idea behind the studying in my mind, like I was studying with anger and like fervently, because I wanted to help everybody. And I'm like, I'm going to help every single person that comes to me. I'm going to fix them. I'm going to show people, like, I'm going to fix them. You know, as any coach learns over time, is they can't help everybody. Not everybody is going to do what they say, no matter how sustainable, no matter how approachable, no matter how great the program is for that person. You're not going to be able to help everyone. Same way with every doctor, right? Like I think one of the hardest lessons for often doctors to learn is they're not going to be able to help every patient. They're not going to be able to fix everybody. They're going to lose patients. Patients will die under their watch, and they're going to make mistakes. And it's not everything is going to happen. I mean, a doctor, this is one of the craziest things in the world. A doctor can prescribe medication to someone, right? They can say, hey, all you have to do is take this pill. A tremendous percentage of the time, they don't even fucking take the pill. All they have to do, just take your pill every day. That's it. For your blood pressure, for your whatever it is, just take the pill. You could save your life. And oftentimes they won't do it. They won't take the fucking pill. So with that in mind, going back to this, there's a model, the trans-theoretical model of behavior change. We can look at why people make the decisions they make and where along they are in the change process. And there are some people who are just not ready, willing, or able to make a change. And those 3 words, ready, willing, or able, for someone to actually make a change, they have to be ready, they have to be willing, and they have to be able. So for example, a very crude example for someone who, we'll call it smoking, right? Smoking cessation. A lot of this research is done on smoking cessation and alcohol cessation. If we take someone who doesn't know that smoking is bad for them, then they might not be ready, willing, or able to make the change to stop smoking, right? Very basically. So with that person, the approach might begin with education. Now, at this point, I don't think there's a single person in the world that doesn't know that smoking is bad for them, but it's important to understand for many years, they marketed smoking as actually good for you, and many people didn't know it was bad for you. So in order for people to make this change, we have to educate in order for them to be ready, willing, and able so they can know. But let's say we go to someone else where someone is they know smoking is bad for them, but maybe they really like how smoking makes them look and it helps them fit in with their peers, right? Well, now education isn't the goal, isn't the way that we get this person to change, because they already know, but they like how it makes them look. They like the feeling they get from it. So we have to have a different approach to help this person stop smoking. And the reality is, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to help everybody. So going back to your question, well, what do you do for someone who has bright line? They can't even focus, like, do they getting a minimal amount of steps and drinking a minimal amount of water every day? You have to have a real conversation with that person. And you have to say, listen, this is very basic. You came to me because you wanted help and you wanted to make a change. If you are not ready, willing, or able to make these changes, I think it might be time for us to take a break from working together. Because these are the most basic fundamental things. And it's actually been very interesting because when I've presented that to a number of clients in the past, that was it. They were like, wait, you're breaking up with me? Are you giving up? No, I'm not giving up on you, but walking in water, minimal steps, minimal water. If you can't do this, then why are you paying me? Why are we working together? It's like you need to give some level of dedication in order to make this work. I'm not asking you to get to 6% body fat. I'm not asking you to go to the gym 7 times a week. Get your steps. You could get these number of steps in about 20 minutes a day and get this water in very, very easily, but you're not doing it. So I think maybe we should take a break. And then often these people will come back and be like, no, I can do it. I'm gonna show you. I'm doing it. You give them something that they might lose. Like they might lose this relationship. They might lose this opportunity. And oftentimes that will be enough to make the switch. Unfortunately, not every time. You're not gonna be able to help every single person, but not everyone is ready, willing, or able to make the changes that they need to make in order to achieve their results.
Why do you feel people struggle to put themselves first? And how do you usually address that? Because especially over the COVID period, I felt like people tried to feel productive while everyone was in lockdown. And then as soon as lockdown ended, it's that level of busyness that they had at home then compounded as soon as they're released back into what they're doing. So I feel like a majority of people are more busy than they've ever been. So that's adding to the fact they can't put themselves first. But it's also highlighted, I know with me as well, I had to actually face this a couple of months ago and I was trying to work through it, which I finally did. But we don't give credit to the fact that we just got through 2 of the hardest years of our lives. We just try to push through. Everything's okay. I'm scot-free. Let's just go dandy walking. But no one actually appreciated the fact that we just got through such a tough time. And there are people that got through worse than us. Thank God we have our online business. But people went through hell and they don't even give credit to themselves. They don't even appreciate the fact of what they just went through. They don't try to dig into the struggles they had, the things that came up, the feelings that they want to avoid, like we were speaking about before, which just adds to the fact that they're struggling to now put themselves first and make these bright lines.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. So, I said the example earlier about people not even taking the pill that the doctor gives them. Interestingly, the person who doesn't even take the pill for themselves, if you gave them a pill for their dog, and they're like, hey, you need to give this pill to your dog in order to make sure your dog lives, and they would do it every day. They'd get their refills. They do it right at the right time. People generally, not everyone, like some narcissists are not the same way, but most people are often better at taking care of other people or other things than they are themselves. They prioritize other people first. They're like, I'm going to make sure my dog gets my dog pills. They're the dog pills at the right time every single day. I'm not going to miss a prescription. I'm not going to miss a refill. I'm not going to miss a single day. But when it comes to themselves, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. There are many potential reasons for this, but I think it's human nature, and or mostly human nature. There are obviously people who don't do that, but I think just simply making people aware of this, number one, and number two, giving people permission to prioritize themselves is massively important. A lot of people feel guilty for prioritizing themselves. They feel like they're taking away from time they should be spending with their friends or family or whatever, and they don't understand that if they don't take the time to prioritize themselves now, they're going to not have as much time with their friends and family in the future. And so I think we need to make it okay for them. We need to give them permission to, hey, an hour for yourself every day is going to give you more time in the future and allow you to be a better parent, a better husband, a better wife, a better father, a better mother, a better brother, better sister, all this stuff. You need permission to do it. No one needs permission to help their dog or help their kid, but for themselves, they often feel guilty and selfish. And we need to understand that, the old cliche is like, you can't pour from an empty cup. You need permission to fill your cup up and keep it filled.
Yeah. It's actually staggering that one of the biggest killers in the world is hypertension. And most people don't actually take their blood pressure medication.
It's crazy.
It is. And I recognize that it's because the symptoms of high blood pressure aren't large enough that doesn't warrant, hey, I'm taking these meds. It's like you don't stop to realize how much it's actually impacting your life in other ways. And also in the future, what's going to happen? Like, why do you feel like the bodybuilding industry, sadly, has had a lot of deaths lately? Like, people,
it's awful.
I'm putting it down to it has to be around the cardiovascular health aspect of things because cardio was so demonized for ages.
I don't see the medical reports from these people, but yeah, I like if I had to guess, I think you're 100% right. Cardio is demonized for years. It was just lift, 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 and now we're seeing people who when you just look at them, you think, oh, they're so in shape, they're so healthy, da da da, because like you said, dick skin lean and all of that and super muscular, but the muscle that you can't see is not working properly. And that's, I could not agree more. It's been devastatingly sad to see these deaths of people so young and so focused on fitness, but not doing everything they needed to do in order to actually maintain optimal health. It's been super scary and very, very sad.
Yeah, see, when someone says you look really fit or you're really fit, I'm like, I'm not. I'm training. But I felt my fittest last year when I was training for my half marathon because it's not that I had extra time, it's that I prioritized doing cardio because I was like, I want my mitochondrial health. That was like my thing. It's like, I'm going for my mitochondria. But it's like now I don't feel the same way because it's literally I'm saying I'm not prioritizing it because it's my choice. I'm choosing not to do long steady state cardio. I'm just walking more. And I'll get you to touch on walking later because it's so underrated. But it's if you just realized the impact that you putting yourself first now will have on your future. Like, I want to get off the friggin' toilet without having to hobble my way up. I don't want to be in a nursing home with people looking after me. I want to be strong. I don't want to fall over and crack my hip. It's if you actually care about your kids and you want to spend more time with your kids, you will put yourself first. Because I feel like the most selfish thing to do, speaking as the daughter of a mother who I hope, because I love my parents, I want to be able to have them around for longer. It's the best thing you can do for your children is make your life one that allows you to live a longer time with them because that is what they want. They don't want to have you struggling and not being your full functional self at 60, 70 years old. They want you there. And that's not going to happen if you're not working on yourself now.
You're preaching. I'm just like, that's exactly right. And, obviously as someone gets older, 80, 90 plus 100, like, yeah, like maybe putting them into a nursing home might make sense. Not because they're not healthy or not because like they did anything wrong, but because, they're just old. But so many people, especially this has happened a lot in my family, relatively young, 60s and 70s, having to go into a nursing home because they didn't manage their health, which the amount of stress that puts on your children is unbelievable. The amount of money they have to spend to keep you there, the amount of time, the amount of energy, like essentially like spending decades taking care of you. And I don't think any parent wants their child to have to do that. But so you're right. Like if you want to give your children and grandchildren the best life possible, you have to prioritize yourself. You have to do that, or else you're actually going to create so much more pain for your entire family.
What are some non-negotiables and what are some hopes that you have in the way that you present yourself to your kid and the way that you want little Syatt to like come into the world?
And that's a great question. I mean, number one is not feeling guilty for prioritizing herself. That's for sure. I think I will say this. So I get a lot of questions about, oh, how can I guarantee my daughter is going to have a healthy relationship with food? I can't guarantee that. She's an individual. Like she's her own person. I am one aspect of her life. She's going to have social media at some point. She's going to be influenced by her friends and TV and all that stuff. I can do my absolute best to help make sure she has a healthy relationship with food. But it's sort of like, that would be like saying if you have a professional basketball player, they have a kid, someone asking, well, how can you guarantee your kid is going to be a professional basketball player? It's like, you can't. It's like they're their own person and you have no idea what's going to happen in their life or what's going to influence them or anything. So for me, I'm going to do my best to make sure she sees what a healthy relationship with food looks like. I'm going to do my best to make sure that she sees what prioritizing yourself looks like. I'm going to make sure she knows what it sees to be confident and to stand up for what's right in terms of standing up for yourself to be able to be fit and healthy. But also one thing I've been doing a lot is sort of voicing my opinion on political matters. And I think my mom massively influenced me on that front in terms of just standing by and being silent. There's a great quote. I think it's a Nietzsche quote. It's like, first they came for these people and I didn't say anything because it wasn't me. And then they came for these people and I didn't say anything because it wasn't me. And then they came for these people and I didn't say anything because it wasn't for me. And by the time they came for me, there was no one left to say anything. And my mom is very outspoken. And it's funny because we actually have sort of very opposing political beliefs, but she's always influenced me to like to say what I believe. And because just standing by in silence, when I look back on my life, I'm not going to be proud of not saying what I believe. And I don't want my daughter and hopefully future children as well to look back and say, like, why didn't he say that? Why didn't he stand up? Why didn't he say what he thinks is right? And I think so many people are so nervous about being canceled and about like having people getting upset with them that they just keep their opinions to themselves. So I think for me, especially with a young girl, I want her to see like you should be able to stand proudly and stand up for what you believe to be right, no matter what. And it's better to be hated for who you are than loved for who you aren't.
I feel like we're too busy trying to fit in with people who don't even give a shit about us anyway. It took me a while to get to that point, but now it's just like, yeah, but who's the one that has to live with the consequences? Who's the one that has to deal with the aftermath? It's only you. And I relate this to food as well. It's like, if you go out at a restaurant and you want to pick the salad, pick the salad. It is for you, for your health. And I saw one of my colleagues make a post on The Rock taking his food to microwave it when he went out. But it's just like someone having that many meetings, almost like Gary Vee, the fact that you had
Exactly.
to his food. If you're having like a million meetings a day, are you always going to pick the bloody turkey, not turkey, just like something calorically dense every single time? Like, you need to be able to put your health goals first as well. And then if you want the pizza, get the pizza. Regardless of what choice you want, it's your choice to make, because who's the one that's dealing with the aftermath?
That's
Not
a
them.
great point. I love that you know that, because most people don't have that awareness to think about how many meetings this guy might be having. It's like this guy's having probably more meetings per day than most people work. Like more, like every day, probably like 5, 7, 10 meetings easily. Oftentimes at restaurants with people. And so what Gary would do is every night he would have dinner from like 6 or 7 p.m. until 11 or 12 p.m. And he would have hour-long dinner meetings, and he would sit at the same table and people would come, and he would have like 4, 5, 6 dinner meetings in a row, back to back to back to back to back at the restaurant. What's he gonna do? Order a new dinner every fucking time someone comes down for a dinner meeting? It's like, no, like you can't do that and expect to be healthy and have a healthy body composition. So I mean, for The Rock to be able to do that, it like makes total sense. Not to mention, it's like that guy is working harder than anybody, like working harder than you could ever imagine. So like if you're at home and able to prepare your own meals, The Rock isn't at home preparing his own meals. He's out fucking working. So yeah, like he gets his microwavable stuff, he brings it with him because that's what he needs to do to achieve his goals. If he's bringing microwavable stuff to Thanksgiving dinner, that's a different story. Like I think he should be able to go and enjoy Thanksgiving without doing that. But like it's one thing when every single day you're having meetings and meetings and meetings and meetings and you're trying to keep your health in check. It's another thing when you're just enjoying a vacation or a holiday.
Yeah, and that's something that I try to do all the time as well, which is really hard to show people, is you need to put yourself into that situation in your mind to realize what's happening there, instead of just hopping on attacking someone for being, oh, that's not healthy, oh, that's not healthy. Like, it happens to everything. It's like, but why? What's the context? Do you even know what's going on right now? And it's just like when someone's in a fat loss phase, you need to make more trade-offs. You need to say no to a lot more things, instead of thinking, hey, this phase is forever, I have to say no forever. I'm not going to say no forever. I'm just gonna like sabotage myself because I can't see my. That's why I hate the whole do the diet that you can do for a lifetime, because it's like, no, the diet is such a short period of time. That is not something you need to do for a lifetime. And that is where so many people get caught up, which is why I hate that message as well. I hate it. It's like, no, you need to actually enjoy yourself in the process to create a lifestyle that can sustain the person you're becoming, because otherwise there is no end outcome. And the diet is a temporary thing. It's not something that you need to do forever. You need to say no to probably pizza, because if you try to fit pizza, I'm the same height as you. I have what do you call it? I have the short people calories. But
they're the worst. It sucks.
There's this quote. Restaurants don't make menus for 5'2" people.
It's true. They don't.
They don't. It's like, yeah, so maybe when I'm in a fat loss phase, I'm not going to have cereal at the house, because unless I'm having like a big freaking bowl of like 600 calories worth of cereal, I'm not going to have it. But if I have 600 calories worth of cereal in a fat loss diet, I'm going to be pretty damn hungry.
Exactly.
Probably metabolic adaptation to the worst, because I'm not going to have energy from not feeding myself in the day. People don't think of trade-offs of everything they need to do. And the biggest reward for me is when one of my girls goes out to a restaurant and they pick something like a salad or a grill or something like that, because they're like, it's just not worth the calories, because there's so much food I can eat at home, or there's so much other food that I can eat. But because I don't want to leave you without you talking about relationship with food, because I have a lot of people, and I see a lot of people that are actually scared to leave the chronic dieting chase of eating more carbs, the fact that they can actually lose weight on a lot more calories. And that, hey, yeah, you're sticking to 1100, 1200 calories and not losing weight, but that's because that's like 3 days of the 7, and you don't recognize everything else that is going on. Or maybe you might be sticking to it for a week and then going haywire the next week, or having one big day that completely throws you off, or you don't recognize how little you're actually moving through the day. Yeah, you're burning whatever many calories in your training session, but how about the rest of the day?
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's interesting. One of the cool things about doing these mini cuts publicly is it really shows me where people are at mentally. And one of the things that I get from people saying all the time is like, I would have quit already. Like if I had that weight spike, I would have quit. If my weight didn't go down in this amount of time, I would have quit. And I get a lot of people saying it's like they just would have quit. What the fuck do you expect to happen if you're just gonna quit as soon as it doesn't go the way that you want? And so I think a lot of people believe they can only eat 800, 900, 1,000 calories because that's how they lose weight very, very, very quickly. But it's not sustainable. And people are very surprised when it's like, no, you can actually increase your calories, but you need to be consistent. Because that's where what you were saying is people might be consistent for a day or 2 days or 3 days, but then they fall off and then it doesn't work. And they're like, well, I've been in a calorie deficit for a month. It's like, no, you haven't. You were in a calorie deficit for 7 days over the last month. And then the rest of the days, you over the weekends, you weren't doing it. Like you were eating way too much. People, as you know, that's why I have the consistency calendar in the app, is because it actually objectively tracks how consistent you've been. I think most people have no clue how inconsistent they're actually being. And it's been very cool to be able to track that data in the app, because a lot of people in their first month, like they're only like 30% consistent, 20% consistent, and they're being like, oh my God, I had no idea how inconsistent I've actually been. So I think a lot of people just aren't aware of their level of inconsistency.
Yesterday, actually, I created my own consistency calendar thanks to you. I was like so excited because I spent 5 hours trying to learn how to do the Excel, like make the little, and I actually got it. And something you talk about is don't compare week to week, compare month 1 to month 2. And I feel like impatience and relationship with failure is a huge part of self-sabotage. So I guess having you talk about that now will really help them. So what do you usually, like, I'm not making progress fast enough.
Shut the fuck up. That's what I say to people when they say, I'm not making progress fast. Shut the fuck, like fast enough for what? Like if you're coming to me and be like, hey, I need to lose 20 pounds in the next 2 weeks, like, well, that's your mistake. Like that's stupid. But what's the rush? There's no end date. There's no finish line here. Like I hate it when people are like, I need to lose this amount of weight by this date because I have like an event. That's a recipe for you to lose weight very quickly doing something very stupid and then regain it all and more back. The reality is if you want to lose weight for your health and for your aesthetics, like it doesn't matter how long it takes. Who cares? Why are you trying to rush this? And people do this all the time, especially as summer's coming up. People are like, oh, summer's coming up. I want to lose weight for summer. And what they'll do is like they'll put so much pressure on losing weight for that summer that it won't actually happen. And then every year they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they never look the way they never look the way they want to look. I'm like, what if instead of trying to lose weight in 4 weeks for summer, you start sustainably doing it now so that you have better habits, and next summer and every summer thereafter, you look exactly how you want to look. But we start now a year ahead of time rather than 4 weeks ahead of time. So I can't stand it when people say they're not losing it fast enough. It's like the worst and dumbest thing you can do.
You cued this into the best thing that I wanted to touch on at the end. And it's in Australia, it's summer around Christmas. Christmas is coming up. And something that I'm saying is maintenance is the best progress when the alternative is yo-yoing, falling off track, wanting to be on a diet, wanting to enjoy the vacations, but wanting to diet and never actually enjoying this time. So by the time the new year comes, you either go hard too soon, burn out, or you're so freaking fatigued from not even enjoying the last few weeks that you can't even get started. You can't even gain traction. And I love the way that you explained the opposite of fragile. But it's like, what's the opposite of indestructible or whatever is in that direction? It's not being focused. It's gaining traction. You need to gain traction, because if you're not distracted from something, if you never had a plan to start with, and a lot of people don't have that plan. So it's like, what are you distracted from? Where's the traction? Like, what are you actually trying to do? And I guess talking about that, and then I have 2 quick questions.
Talking about what specifically?
At the end of the year, like a lot of people say, I'm just going to put this on hold, or I'm just going to go harder, or I want to lose weight for Christmas, or how do I still maintain my fat loss over the Christmas period?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you said is perfect. It's like maintenance is progress. I think maintenance is magic. Maintenance is like the best thing you can do. I think maintenance is probably the most underrated of all of this, and a lot of people look at maintaining as a failure. But when you can, like, over the Christmas holidays, over like whatever holidays you're celebrating, if you can maintain your weight, like, that's a huge win, because you're enjoying yourself, you're having fun, you're enjoying your favorite foods, and you're not gaining. And most people end up gaining way too much, which sets them back even more. And that's when we see the year-to-year 5, 10, 15-pound gain. If you can maintain, you're setting yourself up for a huge amount of success. So I think that's the best thing to focus on.
And if you have the mindset of maintenance, you're always going to have events, you're always going to have holidays. You'll actually learn how to handle these situations in the future. And that's the biggest bonus there is.
Yes, exactly.
So the second last question, what would you say to the perfectionist woman?
Perfection doesn't exist. Perfection is a fallacy. It's not real. Nothing is perfect. It's like chasing perfection. Often people will say, I'm a perfectionist, and they use that as a justification not to try at all. Like, I'm an all or nothing person. Like, I'm a perfectionist. It's like, that's a fucking excuse. I'd rather you do it messy than not do it at all because it's not perfect. Like, I hate when people say I'm a perfectionist. You're not a perfectionist, because I guarantee you there are other things you do in your life that you don't do perfectly. But in this one thing, you're saying you're a perfectionist. I need to make a whole podcast on that. Perfectionism, it's not real. People are picking and choosing what they say they're a perfectionist on, and they're using it as justification to stop trying. So it's not real. Nothing is perfect. So just fucking do it.
You do. It's one of the biggest things I see, sadly. And also the overthinking woman.
Yeah, for the overthinker, pick one thing. Pick one thing to begin with. The overthinker, it's actually very simple. The overthinker gets really confused by all the confusing information, all the tons of misinformation that we're given. And even if they have all the right information, they don't know where to start. So for the overthinker, start with walking. Walk. That's your number one. That's it. That's it. Get your walking in. That's it. That's all you're doing. And like, well, what about this? Stop. Don't ask more fucking questions. Just for 1 month straight, hit your steps. From there, we can focus on something else. Calories. Calories will be next. Cool. So then you do walking, then you do calories. 1 month later, then we can do something else. But you pick one thing and you hammer it home, and you stack and you build and you build and you build. And that's how you make progress. Pick one thing and do that consistently.
There was just quickly something that you touched on with the overthinking before, and that's if you say it out loud, then it's not going to make sense to you anyway if you're the overthinker. So just touching on that one a little bit and explaining that to people, because I feel like that was a really large takeaway.
Yeah, so you, like, when you just speak it out loud to yourself, Yeah, I mean, I think one of the easiest ways to overcome any anxiety that you might have or fear or just overthinking in general is just speak it out loud to yourself like you're having a conversation with another person, whether it's with a therapist, with a friend. And sometimes what I would do is I would literally, like, if let's say I was outside and I was overthinking something, and I didn't want people to think I was talking to myself, I would literally just take my phone like this and I'd put it up to my ear to make it look like I'm having a phone conversation with someone, and I would literally walk myself through what was going on. I'd be like, okay, so here's what's happening. Right now, I'm really nervous because I want to lose weight, but I'm not sure where to begin. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one thing. I'm just going to pick one thing to start with. And you know what? Jordan said walking. So I'm going to start with walking. And that's what I'm going to do for the next month. And it looks right now like I'm having a conversation on the phone, but I'm not. I'm just talking to myself. So whether you're outside or wherever it is, have a real full-on conversation with yourself, and it helps eliminate a lot of anxiety.
I really love that. I couldn't thank you more for coming on, and hopefully this podcast helps get people out of that weight loss purgatory, because you're not stuck. You're not going to go back to where you were. You're going to create a lifestyle that sustains a better version of yourself. So with that, what are some lasting remarks? And also, guys, you don't even need to search the undergrounds, the dark black world to find Jordan. All you need to do is just type him in the Google machine. I was trying to find, like, I opened it just to listen to old podcasts that you've been on. I'm like, holy shit, there's a lot. Google, you'll see a lot there. And if you type his name with consistency or just something that you struggle with, there is something bound to pop up. So with that, what are the lasting remarks that you want to tell a primarily female audience?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I think you're an amazing host. You're an incredible coach, and I think everyone listening is lucky to be subscribing to your podcast and hearing from you very frequently. And thank you. This has been absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much for coming on, and I couldn't appreciate you more.
Likewise.